Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Giant Take podcast. Hope everyone is doing okay. I hope you can be okay after this game because, listen, it's just more of the same. I'm going to beat a dead horse in this episode to this point. Yes, it's just me. Hello, everyone. If you're new, my name is Josh here on the Giant Take podcast. Normally, I'm joined by my friend and co host, Alex. Unfortunately for this podcast, he won't be here today. Luckily for him, he's on a ski trip with a bunch of friends. I think they're in New Hampshire, something like that. So he'll be back hopefully for the next episode, but not here today. Listen, I'd rather have been skiing than watching this pathetic Giants performance today. The Giants have now lost 9 straight games. It's the first time they've done so since 2019, which for some reason is, well, I know the reason. This team has sucked in the last, decade-ish. But it's crazy how that was only around 5 years ago that this team lost 9 straight games. But before then, 2003, 2004, and 1976 with the last 2 times. So the 4th time in the team's history that they've done so. Yeah. We had another plane today. That was cool. Another plane flying outside of MetLife Stadium earlier today. That one had a different message, this time saying, Mr. Mara, enough. We won't stop until you fire everyone. A second straight week where we had that happen. And I think that this is going to continue with these planes until the final week of the Giants play at home. Maybe they'll even fly it to away games coming up for the G-Men. But besides, kind of Brian Burns getting that 8th sack of the season, being top 10 in a pass rusher, Malik Neighbors fighting through injury, really showing his heart out on the field today. There was not much to see out of this Giants team. We had Tim Boyle taking the final snap out of halftime into halftime when Tommy DeVito was ruled out with a concussion. Have we seen Tommy DeVito in his last snap wearing the blue, the New York Giants blue that is? Will he play for the remainder of this season? We'll have to wait and see. Will Drew Lock come back and play again? The Giants' recap over the past month at the quarterback position has been unbelievable. A bench of Daniel Jones getting cut, Tommy DeVito, the third string, getting started when Daniel Jones got benched, not Drew Lock, who you signed to start for the team. Then DeVito gets hurt after one game. Drew Lock starts. Drew Lock, no, we don't like that. We're going to have you switch out again. Then Lock gets hurt. Well, I'm sorry. Lock stays for the second week, gets injured in that second game. Tommy DeVito comes back in. Tommy DeVito starts. Doesn't last a half. Tim Boyle, here you are. Tim Boyle played the most of this game, or the second half of this game, I should say. And, I mean, he was all right. He looked like Tim Boyle. He found Malik Neighbors finally for the first time since week 3. The Giants scored their first passing touchdown since November 3rd, over a month ago when Daniel Jones hit Theo Johnson against Washington for a touchdown. He'd been getting close in recent weeks. Malik Neighbors finally gets one today. But besides that, this Giants offense and the team overall were outgained 445 to 236 yards. And they won 35-14, the Ravens did, against this New York Giants team. Proves the difference between a 9-5 team and a 2-12 team. Now, I'm not going to go too long here because this doesn't really deserve it. But Tim Boyle at least played with heart. I feel like this Giants offense played with a little bit more heart than we've seen in the past, especially Malik Neighbors. You have to give that guy credit. This rookie is playing on a pathetic football team. And I know we had the comments earlier in the season towards Brian Daboll a few weeks ago about not getting the football. And now he's been getting the football. And after the game, Tim Boyle mentioned how he wants to throw him the football. And it seemed like he was the only quarterback out of Drew Lock, out of Tommy DeVito, out of Daniel Jones that noticed that. I think Daniel Jones noticed that a little bit. But Tim Boyle actually said it. He said, you're always looking out for number 1 in the field. And that's something that hopefully, whoever it is, Shedeur Sanders, who has been rumored, and I could talk about that a little bit, passing the football with Malik Neighbors for the Heisman Trophy this past weekend in New York City. This past week, I should say, a few days ago. We could talk about Cam Ward coming to the New York Giants, Jalen Milroe. Throw it out. Throw names. I don't care. We need a quarterback in this building. And whoever that quarterback is going to be has to have that same mindset that wherever he is on the field, you want to be looking out for number 1 because he's a generational talent. He's one of the best wide receivers that we've seen for this Giants team in a long time, since Odell Beckham, some might say. Neighbors in this game had 10 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown, so about 8 yards per catch. Behind him, Wandale got involved a little bit today with 4 catches. Daniel Bellinger with 3. Yeah, I mean, so let's talk about it a little bit. Tim Boyle, 12 for 24, 123 yards, a touchdown, interception. I do think that it's hilarious that we've gotten to this point now where Tim Boyle's the starter for this team and might be the starter, the 30-year-old out of Eastern Kentucky, might be the starter for the New York Giants for the rest of the season. I don't know. He's had time at Green Bay, Detroit, Chicago, the Jets, Miami last year, this year as a backup. And now he's with the G-Men. And isn't it crazy that now, what is it, back-to-back years that we've seen like quarterbacks rotating through this Giants team? I mean, if you look at it, and it feels like it's been more than a year ago, but that was the year with Daniel Jones, Tyrod, and DeVito. And now we have Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito, and Tim Boyle on this team. And I'm not going to say, oh, well, you could say injuries haunt this team, I guess, but it always seems like these backup quarterbacks can't stay healthy. We saw that with Tyrod last year. And I'm not saying it's their fault either, but it's just funny that they come in, they're the backup options. That's the whole thing, is they come in when the starter gets injured or anything happens there. Maybe like rare situation that the Giants release, any team releases a starting quarterback, but that happened this year. Fine. Backup comes in, he gets injured. That happened with Tyrod last year. That happened with DeVito this year. That happened with Locke this year. Now we're down to what? The fifth quarterback, Daniel Jones, 1, Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito, so 4. Tim Boyle being 4. I mean, it's pathetic. This team is pathetic on the field. We know that at this point. Brian Daboll responding to the fans with the flying of the plane over the stadium control. We can control, he said. That's his approach to all the outside noise. When is the outside noise going to come to the inside? If it has not already, when is it going to come to the inside of the building to know that he is going to be gone? Is he going to be gone? I feel like at this point he has to be. Him and Joe Schoen, I don't know how you keep them around long. Like I've said before, and I continue to say it again, I have no problem with the Giants keeping Joe Schoen. I don't think you can keep Brian Daboll, and I don't think they're going to be keeping Brian Daboll, though, along with Joe Schoen. They will not keep both of them. It's either both of them go or none of them go. And I don't know right now what's going to happen with John Mara. That's what we're all waiting for. That's even what the guy or the girl, whoever it is that has been paying for the plane, flying the plane. Maybe it's the same person, whatever. The plane person's from, noticing that too. They want to know, as is every single New York Giants fan, what is happening with the future of this football team. And there's only one man that leads the answer to that question. And it's John Mara. Now, what is he going to do? We have 3 games to find out. Against the Falcons next weekend, the final home game for the New York Giants, and maybe that plane flyer on December 29th against the Colts, the final game at home for the New York Giants. And they're going to play Philadelphia in the last game of the season. That's going to be a rest game for most of the starters on Philadelphia. Most of the Giants starters are already injured and on IR for the rest of the season, so you're not going to see much of them. And maybe Malik Neighbors plays it through and some other guys. But Brian Burns too, I guess. Who knows? I don't know what's left in this season besides more losses. Maybe we'll get that win over the Falcons. Maybe we'll get that win over the Colts. A bad Eagles team. I don't know. This team is 2-11 right now. Wow. I mean, this sucks. The Ravens were 16.5-point favorites in this game. They cover. That was the largest spread of this season. They've never been bigger underdogs. The Giants haven't been at home in the Super Bowl era. They're 0-8 at home and have a chance to become the first team in the history to go 0-9 at home. What you want to talk about a leg up at home, right? That's what everyone says. You want to play these games. This is every sport, by the way. I'm not just talking about the NFL. You've been hearing this since you were a little kid, right? You always want to play at home. Obviously you want to have the fans behind you at home. You want to play at home. How do you lose every single game on your home turf? How is that possible? The New York Giants can make it possible. With this New York Giants team, there's no rock bottom. It just keeps going down. It just continuously is a slope down. There's no end to it. I'm sure Alex is listening and or watching right now, and he's, said he's on that ski trip. I'm sure, Alex, that slope that you're going down right now, if you were riding the New York Giants slope of this season, it would just never end. You'd be skiing for hours at this point, for days, for years, for months, I guess, is how this season has gone. But the chance to become the first team in history to go 0-9 at home, that's terrific. So yeah, I guess that's it for the Giants offense. Let's take a quick break. We'll go to the Giants defense.
What do you think when there was a plane flying above the stadium again today, and this one said, "Please fire everybody"?
Yeah, just control we can control.
Paraphrase.
That doesn't impact you at all to know that that's a sentiment from at least a section of the fan base that wants.
Yeah, just control we can control. Get ready to play a game this week.
Do you think it's a distraction?
No, I didn't know about it until you told me right now. So control we can control. Get ready to go ahead and have a good week.
All right, welcome back in to this episode of the Giant Take podcast. The Giants defense allowed 35 points, against the Baltimore Ravens today. You saw the defense give a really great effort in last week's game against the New Orleans Saints, only allowing 14 points. Today, they played a really good offense. They played a high-flying, explosive offense to the Baltimore Ravens, and I think they did just okay against them, except for the fact that Lamar Jackson's on the football field and you can't stop him. Lamar Jackson, 21 for 25, 290 yards, so not over 300 yards passing, but 290 is not bad, and 5 tutties. 5 tutties. So all the touchdowns coming from Lamar Jackson. You did a good job containing Derrick Henry rushing the ball, so I do applaud them for that. Only 5 yards a carry. But Rashad Bateman, 2 touchdowns today. The one where he juked out 2 defenders at the same time and a really nice throw on the dot by Lamar Jackson. That was beautiful. Rashad Bateman played very well in this game. 3 catches, 80 yards. That's all he needs. And 2 of those being touchdowns, by the way. So 3 catches, 2 of them being touchdowns, total of 80 yards. That big throw really made the difference in the end of things. And the Giants kind of held their own, especially in the first half, where going into halftime, Baltimore was up 21-7, and you're thinking, oh, the Giants can do something here. And they don't score their last touchdown until the fourth quarter, that passing touchdown finally, that we haven't seen in over a month. And the Ravens tack on too. So that kind of stretched everything out. 35-14 again is your final. And then I wanted to see about when those touchdowns. Yeah, so at one point late in the second quarter, before that 20-yard touchdown by Bateman, it was a 14-7 game, and that just touchdown came late in the first half, and the Giants were they went down 21-7 and just weren't able to come back from there. But I do want to talk about this Giants defense a little bit, and someone who did step up in the loss, who had 15 tackles, also a tackle for loss, a QB hit, pass deflection. Nice game today by Dane Belton, the youngster for the New York Giants, who, I hope to see in the future for this team. He's only 24 years old. He was a pick for the Giants in that 2022 draft in the 4th round. And I just hope he sticks around with this team. He had a good game today. Another solid linebacker, or just another player that was solid. Our linebacker, another youngster in Micah McFadden, who made 11 tackles today, had a QB hit on there as well. And then you kind of go down the line, and it was besides Brian Burns, who got that sack, as I mentioned earlier in this episode. You got not much. You got a lot of backups. We don't have our starting corners who are, have been injured the last few weeks. You don't have Dexter Lawrence up in the middle there. And you just can't do anything to stop the high and mighty Lamar Jackson MVP, and all the accolades that he has from playing really, really, really well. And that's what happened in this game, and the Giants lost yet another one. So kind of wrapping things up again, the Giants are now, I think I said 2-11 earlier. They're 2-12 with this loss. That was before the loss today. So they're now 2-12. There's nothing else I can say to go from here besides the fact that there's 3 games we have to sit through. 3 more games we have to sit through, and then we finally find out what's going to happen with this team. The question that everyone wants the answer to. My God, do I want the answer to it, just like you do, watching or listening, is that what is going to happen with this coaching staff, with Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen? That's really the 2 guys we want to know. But there is something along those lines that, regardless of what's going to happen, is something will happen, and that's called the NFL draft come April. And if the Giants don't select someone like Travis Hunter, if they have the first pick, what quarterback will they take? That question might have been answered this weekend as Shedeur Sanders was playing catch with Malik Neighbors in New York City. And, they had fun there, and Shedeur had fun not winning the Heisman Trophy, but supporting a teammate in Travis Hunter that did win the Heisman Trophy. Now, regardless of who you think should have won it, Travis Hunter on both sides of the ball is something we haven't seen in a long time. He's a phenomenal, absolutely insanely amazing athlete. Same thing with Shedeur Sanders, but Travis Hunter, whether he plays DB or a wide receiver, he's going to be great at whatever he does. Now, should he play wide receiver? I think so in the NFL. I don't think he'll be able to maintain both. Completely different game. What he's done so far to do that in college sports and to win the Heisman for it in college athletics for Colorado, sensational. It's really, really great. So I don't know if the Giants will take him, but Shedeur Sanders was throwing passes with Malik Neighbors. So I don't know. Does that mean they're friends? Does that mean, he's going to come to the New York Giants? I don't know. Maybe the Raiders want him. Maybe that's where Deion wants him to go. Who knows? Deion's got to give the approval regardless, though. But he was there. I think he was at a Knicks game this week, too. So Shedeur just taking in all this time in the Big Apple these past few days. Again, Giants next take on the Atlanta Falcons away. Right now, the Falcons, according to ESPN, have a 72% chance of winning that matchup. They are 6-7 on the year, and they won today. They play Monday Night Football at 8:30 against the Raiders tomorrow, so we'll see how that game goes. And that's all I got. So I thank you so much for listening. 3 more games left. 3 games left this season. Keep chanting that. I guess you could say this Giants team, pathetic on the football field. Nothing new, nothing we learned today that we didn't know beforehand, besides the fact that Tim Boyle might start the rest of this. If anything I say is repeated, at least there's something new that we found out in this game, and that's quarterback Tim Boyle might be under center for the rest of this Giants season. There you go. That's new information. 2-12, the team is right now. Falcons, Colts, Eagles. Falcons, they play next week at 1 o'clock on Sunday. We'll be here, as we always are, to preview that game. Hopefully, Alex is back with me. I thank you so much for listening and or watching. I appreciate if you watched that game because I had to sit through it as well. It was a tough watch. Thank you so much. Drop a thumbs up if you're watching. Subscribe wherever you are. And I'll talk to you soon. Peace.